we'll start the meeting, and if Kerry Smith comes in, we'll let her, bring her up to speed. So I'm going to call
And
the
now,
fiscal.
sorry.
He's coming in now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, hi, Kerry. Okay, I'm going to call the Cumberland School Committee Finance Subcommittee meeting to order on Thursday, February 11th, 2021 at 5:17 p.m. in accordance with Governor Armando's Executive Order 21-10 dated February 3rd, 2021. The Cumberland School Committee intends to conduct this meeting remotely. The public can participate in this meeting remotely, but not in person, by calling area code 312-626-6799. The webinar ID is 944-0473-8983. Or if you'd like to join us through the Zoom program, you can go to the Cumberland School Department events calendar on our website. You can click on the link to the Zoom meeting, and the passcode is 323047. Okay, we have item number 2 on our agenda: approval of the agenda, compliance with the Governor's Executive Order 2110 dated February 3rd, discussion/vote on whether there's adequate public access to the meeting through adequate alternate means. Mr. Chandler?
Yes, there is.
I only see two persons now that are from the public. So I would say there's adequate means for the meeting. So next we'll move on. And the first order of business is the approval of the minutes from January 28th, 2021. I need a motion to approve unless there's any amendments or corrections.
No, motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Collins,
I will second the motion.
second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Next, we have the payment of bills in the amount of, where is that sheet? I thought I printed it out. Oh, yeah, I did. All right. So we have payment in the bill in the amount of $2,925,809.15. Anyone have any questions in regards to the bills? Mr. Collins, go ahead.
I have a question. I was going through them earlier. Beacon Charter School, we're potentially writing them a check for $59,000. My question is, how many students do we have at Beacon Charter School?
Does it say on the sheet, Dennis, by chance?
Let me double check here.
Beacon.
Pull it up
It
here.
says we have Q3 8 students at
Okay.
the Founders Academy and 21 at the other.
All right, so it's 29 students. Are we paying, is the Beacon Charter School rate the same as BVP? Alex may be able to answer that, or somebody.
Could you repeat it, Dennis?
So we have 29 students at Beacon Charter School. Do we pay the same rate to Beacon that we pay BVP?
Yes, all charter schools receive the same amount. So we pay the same to Beacon, the Nurses Charter School, International, BVP. They all get the same amount.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? I have one, Alex. It's on page 19 of the payment of bills. Just let me get to that screen page. Give me 1 second here. And I'm on page 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right. We have payment to the Rhode Island Mayoral Academy in the amount of $857,705.92. I'm not sure the Cumberland School Department is legally responsible to pay this bill anymore, considering that BVP has claimed to the federal government that they are are no longer a public school, but a private, non-for-profit school system. And as we're aware, we only pay to a public school system. So I'm not sure that we need to pay this bill at this time. I'd like to see us discuss it and maybe in our executive session and send it to Rhode and see what their how they feel the standing in this of Blackstone Valley Prep, because as you're aware, public schools cannot get PPP money, and they went and said they were a nonprofit. And I did hear on the radio with our commissioner of schools, and she said the charter schools were all public schools. She didn't say they were nonprofits. They said they were public schools that received public funds. So I think tonight I'm going to ask that we don't pay Blackstone Valley Prep at this time, and that we appeal it to the Rhode Island Ed Department. I don't know how other members of the committee feel, or if you want to pull that off and have the full committee vote on that payment tonight. But I feel that we shouldn't have to pay that amount if indeed they are no longer a public school. So, I mean, the payment of bills, if we were to deduct it, 2,925,000. Whoops. Let me do it again. 2,925,809.15 minus 857,705.92 equals 2,068,103.23.
What's the amount, Paul?
It's $2,068,103.23. Again, we can bring up the difference on that page to the full committee for payment, but I'm only one vote here, and I would recommend that we don't pay them until the Rhode Island Department of Ed determines whether they are truly a public school. And if that's the case, then they need to return the money to the federal government.
Go ahead, Dennis.
We'll go with Mrs. Smith first, and then Mr. Collins.
Oh, okay, thank you. My question is, have we approached it previously? Because this is going back to the summertime, I believe in August, September, when they received the 4 million. And at that time, I know that town council was also requesting that they return it. So at that point, we haven't had any legal discussions on it or anything of that nature. And
We haven't had any legal discussions because it's always been the contention that Rhode will take the money away from us anyways. But again, hearing the commissioner just the other day in the radio saying, talking about saying they are public schools, not nonprofits, brings me this to bring up the date. I did bring it to the chair. And I believe there may be some discussion tonight in the executive session about possible litigation. So that's where that stands in regards to that.
I would support removing that, and not paying that today.
Right.
As well.
Go ahead, Mr. Collins.
I agree in principle. Obviously, BVP's been bleeding us dry for far too long. My only concern is without a legal ruling, heading into a budget season that, it could be a grind again like last year. We could be running, who's to say there could be penalties, late fees, whatever from Rhode, without a clear legal opinion. It's too much of a gamble. I mean, in principle, absolutely. I think it's a shame what's happening to our students, and the fact they got PPP money. But again, I don't want to. This isn't the hill I want to die on when we're going to
Right.
season. We have to worry about kids at Cumberland Public Schools.
I mean, we could put that money, just hold it aside until we get the either a legal opinion from Superior Court, or Rhode decides that you know, where there's only, I'm looking to withhold at least $1 million on the Cumberland side because they got $4 million and there's 4 cities and towns that support the Blackstone Valley Prep.
Yeah, and I just, to me, looking at it without a legal opinion from Mr. Adams or anybody, any other attorney, it's a gamble I'm not willing to take. But you know, to echo what you said, I'm only one vote as well. So,
Right.
but I absolutely agree with the principle of it, and it's a shame. But I'd hate to jeopardize the other students on principle.
Well, if the bill got paid 2 weeks late, the bill got paid 2 weeks late. That's
Yeah,
what,
I'd like,
you know,
like to see
what
that
comes-
writing. That's just one man's opinion.
Right, so but we would have to make a motion to, you know, do the 2,068,000 and hold the payment for the 857,000 to BVP to our next meeting. How's that feel to you?
I support the motion, but I won't be able to vote to not pay them. But
Right,
I'll support the motion though.
okay,
So, and I would support what you're saying as well, Mr. Demotica, and that is, you know, we can vote to make the payment on all the bills, but I would withhold that, and then pending executive discussion tonight and what Mr. Adams may say, perhaps what we are going to have to do is put that into an escrow account or some type of account until we get a ruling from Rhode.
I mean, generally what happens, has happened in the past, that if something wasn't agreed upon, it was brought to the full committee, because only the full committee can make that decision to pay the bills. We're only giving them a recommendation from Fiscal. So I will bring that up separately tonight during the regular meeting. When it comes to the payment of the bills, if the full school committee wants to pay the whole 857, 705.92, if that's okay. That's how we've done it in the past.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so I need a motion to pay 2,068,103.23 and withhold our recommendation to the full committee for the 857, 705.92.
Motion to approve.
Motion
I will-
approved by Mr. Collins,
I will second the motion.
second, Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. We'll make that recommendation to the full committee tonight.
Thank you.
All right, next is Business Office Monthly Report, Mr. Pignano.
Okay, thanks, Paul. I got a couple of things I want to go over tonight. The first one is our regular monthly report that we review on since it's a monthly report, we review it monthly.
Right,
And basically, we've had some improvement in where we were. If you recall, last month's report, we were looking at a small shortfall of about $115,000. And if you look at the total this month for January, it's a positive 489. There's 2 or 3 issues that I've made adjustments to on the report that swing that number, that $605,000 difference.
okay,
The first one is the charter schools. We had a budget of 485. We had been running 475 in the first quarter, and with most of the second quarter bills now, it's actually about 465. So that picked up about $64,000. Those students' difference in what we're paying in tuitions. The other 2 items, one in the electricity, we budget about $600,000, and the town entered into a net metering solar agreement a couple of years ago. And the town is, believe it or not, they're still struggling to get their arms around it. Very confusing. You know, that I think the vendor they're working with, they're having some difficulty with as far as communication issues, I would think. And so anyhow, Ray Chauvin and his deputy have filled me in the best they can. And it looks like we're going to run about I've seen, we've been getting some credits. I think we're going to get credits of about $200,000 this year, and I'm projecting now that in the electricity account we'll have about a $200,000 surplus, which is good news because that's a contract that's going on. My budget next year for electricity should be able to be reduced a little, some amount close to that $200,000 as well. So that will help us in next year's budget. But like I said, the town and the school department, we weren't involved in as many of the meetings. We're still kind of struggling to get our arms around how the whole agreement works. But there are credits coming in on a regular basis now. And then the last thing is I got an email not too long ago. I couldn't get it on the December report. The email came late December, and we had already gone through our report. But the state is now saying, and I think I might have forwarded that email to people saying good news. They had originally were projecting $1,090,000 spent by Cumberland on statewide transportation, and we only had budgeted $6 change, so it was going to cause like a $400,000 overspending. They've now adjusted their number to $710,000. So I asked them, I said, how's such a big swing? And I'm not sure the person I spoke to really had the answers, but she did mention that they've had a tremendous number of kids also distance learning, which reduced a lot of their routes. If you recall, I think I mentioned to the committee that last year their number of routes they had were 150, and they had actually increased them because of COVID to 349. Well, I guess they're not making a lot of those runs due to distance learning. So that's about a $380,000 swing to us, which is really really helpful. And now the number of 710 is much more in line at what we originally budgeted of 670. So those three items are about a $644,000 swing, and alone, and that's why I'm looking at now a positive number of 489, which we need to continue to grow so that we can help ourselves in next year's budget, because there's nothing wrong with using a surplus to fund next year's budget if we use it on one-time items. And I'm sure people in the curriculum committee and probably other members know that there's talk of a number of curriculum changes that the state is going to force districts to adopt different curriculums and stuff. And we've gotten some estimates on that. The curriculums that we would have to buy are over $1 million over a 3-year period. So if we were to run some surpluses and we would designate it for educational supplies in our fund balance, that would be just what fund balance type of things are used for, one-time expenses like that. And it could relieve a lot of budget pressure that we would have to face over the next 2 or 3 years by doing that. So that's where I think I am today with the January report. I'm happy to go through anything in this report. I've included, if you look under transportation, I've included a potential settlement with Durham that we talked about at our last meeting. I've included putting some money aside for those curriculum issues I've talked about. And so we can go into much detail as you want. I know we're usually a little bit rushed when we have executive session in the regular meeting right afterwards. So if there's any questions, happy to take them.
Have we reached an agreement with Durham?
No, we haven't.
Okay. But the money is set aside just in case we do?
Excuse me?
The money is set aside in case we do?
I haven't set it aside. In my mind, I'm counting it in those numbers that I'm showing you. That dollar amount is removed. So like any settlement we had with Durham would not impact that 4 change that I'm showing, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Pagnano over the payment of bills? I'm sorry, in the monthly report. Okay, I don't hear anyone having anything, so we'll move on. Thank you on that one. So we don't have, is Shauna here? No.
No, I have another item I want to go through, Paul. There are 2 items. I wanted to give people a little bit of a preview of what we're going to do tomorrow night with that special meeting that we've called on a Friday night that everyone's happy that I asked you to call. And we sent out another handout that should be in your drive. It's called Fiscal 20 and 21 results.
Correct.
People have that? Yep. So I want to take you through that. If you look at the top of the page, these are our revenues and expenditures for the year that's currently under audit last year. And like we spoke about, because of COVID, we expected a large surplus would occur. We didn't pay Durham $850,000. There were other items that we didn't spend money on. And we ran a significant surplus of $2,540,000. If I take you down below, the first column there under FY19 fund balance, that's what the fund balance is in our latest audit report. The bottom number, $2,522,000, that's unassigned and available for use on anything that the school committee would want to use it on. The other items on that page or in that column are all designated for specific purposes that the committee in past years has designated, except for the capital. That's part of our policy. Anytime we get to 4% on the unassigned, our policy is that anything above that goes to capital. So you can see what we had. The first number, the Blue Cross Reserve, that's the money that we keep with Blue Cross on hand on a weekly basis so they can pay claims for us. We really can't touch that. They need that each week to pay claims. But it's still an asset of ours, and so it appears as in our fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
The next number is a small number of $55,000 that we have for capital. The medical reserve, I've talked about several years ago, we had a surplus in medical, and when we used to be completely on a self-insured basis, like I've talked about, the new plan is more of a hybrid premium arrangement, self-insured. But we thought it was important to have some type of fallback in healthcare claims because one or two bad claims can sink a budget. So we had reserved that. The educational supplies is the last payment of a two-year bill we had that with the Wonders Reading Program for K-12. And
I
we
thought
had
that was
designated.
K-2.
It is K-2. I said 12. You're right. K-2, $125,000. The school committee designated for that, and then because we in 19 we were using $450,000 of fund balance. It has to be designated. It's not the fact that you're using it to balance your budget doesn't mean it means it's not free and clear to use in other ways. If I take you to the next column, because of the large surplus, $2,540,000, if you see down the bottom, I've added it to the $3,767,000, and so the surplus of $6,307,000.
Good.
And what I'm looking to do is align the fund balance reserve in this format, and I'll tell you why. What I want to do in the medical reserve, with us now on this arrangement where we get a working rate and we have to pay that working rate, there's no saying, well, we think we're going to spend $8 million in claims. Let's budget $7.6 million because $8 million is going to result in other cuts or whatever. And we'll hope that we can make that up during the year, or that we'll have some good numbers with claims this year. We don't have that ability anymore. So we lost that flexibility of budgeting. We have to budget the exact number now for healthcare claims, which isn't bad because, it forces us to budget the right number, not to, so that we can take that gamble. And also with the new company, there's prescription rebates and other things that are advantageous. So it just means there's a little bit less flexibility. So because of that, because we're going to get a working rate and we have to budget it, what I'm recommending we do is take that money and move it, most of it, all of that, because of the 450 exceeds what I'm moving it to that 394,117 educational supplies. And I kind of just mentioned it a little bit in the last report. My goal is to start building some surplus there that the school committee can designate for these reading curriculums and wonders and math programs and stuff that Rhode is saying that we're going to have to replace over the next 3 years, so that these won't be large items that the school committee, and the budget has to contend with. They're going down the road. That's the 394.
Alex,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, may I just say one thing, Alex? That's a really good point, and I just want the school committee to know that this is, Alex keeps referring to the curricula that we have to purchase. It really is another one of those unfunded mandates where the Department of Ed has decided that there are only a few different curriculums that will align with standards that will improve the performance of students. So Rhode has made that decision. And unfortunately, if you don't, as a district, have one of these curriculums that they have vetted and supported, then you have to purchase them. So, and it's, unfortunately, an unfunded mandate. We have no choice. And the thing that's frustrating for us is that we've been, the work that we've been doing in the curriculum that we have been using has reaped rewards. I will say this, though. This is, much of what Al about is more for the high school. But I just wanted to let the committee know that this really, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, is essentially another unfunded mandate that we have no choice but to pay for. So I just wanted to provide a little more information about that. Thank you.
And what's interesting, Bob, I'm sure you know this, but the committee members might not know, 4 of the 5 top districts in the state in math, they have to quit using their curriculum and go to a curriculum that Rhode's picking out. It's just, it's really ludicrous, in all honesty. But anyhow, so back to what I was saying here. After the 394, the next 2 numbers, the 2,215,000, that's the number we used in one-time revenues in this year's, in the 21 budget. So they had to be designated last year. They're only available to use at this point in the 21 budget until we know what operations, what our results will be that in 21. 789, I've also put aside. You're going to see that in the budget that we're going to submit in a couple of weeks. That money is going to be used in the 22 budget. So we're trying to get down from 2,215,000 down to a more reasonable 789. And so anyhow, that's why it carries over into 21. And then the 2,689,000 will be the new unassigned that we can use for anything fund balance. And you get that number, and I put it down on the left-hand corner. The FY19 expenses was 67,225,000. 4% of that, what our policy says, the previous year's expenditures, is the 2,689,000. And what's interesting, if you want to just look, we were 67,225,000 in 19. Look at how it was 65,332,000 for expenditures in 20. We really did spend a lot less money with the COVID in place. Transportation, utilities, and other type of things. So anyhow, the meeting tomorrow night is because I just can't move this money without school committee. The school committee designates these things. I'm asking you to designate that money so we can start building that reserve, getting out of the medical reserve, because I don't think it's needed there as much anymore, and getting it into these educational supply line items so that we can address some of these curriculums that we're going to have to purchase.
Right. Anyone have any questions of this? Go ahead, Mr. Smith. Yeah.
Hi, Carrie.
Carrie, you're muted, Carrie.
Oh, I know. I've hit the button 5 times. It just didn't want to turn on. Thank you. Oh, technology. Just to clarify, Alex, the educational supplies or anything along that, this is all fund balance. These are just line items within that fund balance.
Yeah. What we're doing is taking that fund balance and allocating it certain ways that the school committee is making a statement of how they think it should be spent or what it should be available for in future years.
I'm back.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, Paul, you had a beautiful smile there for
a minute. Yeah, I was frozen, so I didn't hear what you had to say.
So Alex was just explaining, yes, that these are fund balances and that we're going to have line items for allocation, but they are still
right. And I don't know off the top of my head, it's right near the end of the audit in the last 15, 20 pages of the 200-page audit that we have this breakdown each year of what our fund balance, so people can go to that page and see what exactly makes up the fund balance and how it's being allocated.
Okay.
So if we look at this, the 2,215,000 use in the fund balance for fiscal year 21, you have that there, but that could be a carryover into 22 to plug our budget if necessary?
Well, I'm using 789 and 21. I don't think there's anything wrong with using a small amount of fund balance each year to keep a program in place or whatever, but you just can't extend yourself. Now, we extended ourselves with this 2,215,000, and that's why the 22 budget's is gonna pose some difficult choices. But with COVID, with the town feeling that the unemployment was pretty high in the town because of the pandemic, and also coupled with the reval that hurt the state aid, we had a 4% reduction in state aid. We really didn't have much of a choice, but you can't do this many times, obviously. And you see, we've talked about in the past, we were 3,767,000. The surplus is going to balloon to 6,003,000, which sounds great, but the fact is, 3 million of it we're either using 2.2 and reserving another 789 for 21 and 22. You'll see in 21 it'll go back down to that 3,000,008 or so level. It's just a spike that because of that one-time savings from COVID that we chose to spend all at one time.
Right. But
That would have been perfect if we had now, if you'd known about that curriculum, if you'd taken $1 million of that dollars of that and had designated that time for this curriculum purchases we're going to have to make, that would have been the perfect way to spend that money. But we used it to balance the budget because we really had no choices.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Any questions in regards to that? Okay, anything else, Alex?
Not in business manager reports. I think we got some resolutions, or at least one resolution.
Yeah, we do. All right, so Sean is not here, so we don't have a Tedesco. I see Will is there. Will, do you have a report, or you're here just because you were on the list?
I do have just something, a small report, which was.
Okay, good.
We did have to close the pool down for 3 days this week. We had a 6-inch elbow break open on us in the filter room. Combine that with the pool pack, we had a couple of issues on the roof with the pool pack. So it shut down the pool for about 3 days.
Hey, George.
Now up and running,
Okay.
able to
Hey, George.
swim, and the vendor who is renting that spot is back in business as well.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
go ahead, Mr. Mitchell.
just to build on what Will just said, he actually brought the pipe, the rather huge elbow that was damaged into my office. And the damage was significant, but I think this is impressive to me. The thing that was more impressive to me was the fact that the maintenance people that we have on staff, Jody and Don.
Yes.
Jody and Don were able to make that repair themselves. And as you can imagine, it saved us a tremendous amount of money. So the good news is that they caught it quickly. Otherwise, the pool, a good part of the water in the pool could have been lost. But really nice job by Will and those maintenance guys to discover the problem and get it repaired very quickly. I think pretty impressive, and we're lucky that we have individuals with the talent to do that work. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
All right, so unless there's no questions for Will in regards to that at all? I don't see anyone nodding. Okay. So next we have a couple of things to approve tonight. First is approval to award abatement, testing, and analytical services for the following projects at Cumberland Hill High School and J.J.M. McLaughlin, Cumberland Hill Elementary. It's to test for asbestos abatement and come up with a plan. Alex, are these going to be charged to the $83 million bond? You're muted.
Yeah, eventually that work, if we go forward with it, would go through the bond.
Well, wouldn't Cumberland Hill JJM get tested? Because that's going to be the first school.
I believe it will be, yeah.
Okay, all right. So we have a letter from Colliers that was in the folder based on the outcome of bids that they conducted in the amount of $10,450 to hire Emery Environmental Associates to consist with the oversight for these two projects. We don't have a resolution, accompanying this. We'll have to have Cindy do a resolution up for it, and we'll get it recorded. But I need a motion to approve. Anyone?
A motion approved.
I will second with discussion.
Go right ahead.
I just want to re-clarify again, Alex, I didn't feel comfortable with the response and I apologize for that. These funds for any of that testing, that will go to the $83 million.
79 million now.
Well, I'm sorry, 79 million, right. So that will indeed go to that. So
Yep.
it's not as if we're going to do the testing and then it's coming out of our budget.
No. Well, we'll pay the bill and get reimbursed because that's the way the town is forced it, which I guess they don't want to trace down all the W-9s or whatever, whatever reason, but so it just puts more hands in the pot, but that's what we're doing.
Yes, I just wanted to re-clarify because I was a little confused on that. So thank you, and I will continue with my motion with no further discussion.
All right,
I
go
have one.
ahead, Dennis.
Have we used Emery before
Yes.
for anything?
Yeah, I think Emery is the ones who did the trans building
Trans, yeah.
Thanksgiving.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, all right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to hire Emery Environmental Associates for an amount not to exceed $10,450. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 3-0. Next, we have SCPR 2-2001-04, a resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a contract with Hub Technical Services of Southeastern Mass for the attached hardware, which was a 12-page list, and services for installation upgrade of the district's Wi-Fi network in an amount not to exceed $156,410.66. The district is going to receive $57,272.92 from the E-rate funding. So the cost for us would not exceed $99,137.74 after we get the E-rate reimbursement. It is budgeted in the technology budget for the amount of $99,137.74. I would need a motion to approve this.
If I could be clear, Paul,
Go
the
ahead.
budget, I had estimated, or Mike and I had estimated 60,000 when we put the budget together. I guess there's a piece of equipment. They'll purchase one, you need two and they'll purchase one, and Mike's not right there. He can explain that a little bit more. It's in the Hub Tech documents that I had Cindy provide for you. So we're looking at 99,000 rather than 66, but I'm pretty comfortable that I can find that in the technology budget with Mike, the
Yeah,
difference.
Our cost $99,137.74 after the reimbursement.
Yeah.
Correct? Go ahead, Carrie.
Yes, I just like to ensure that we put that wording in here. If we look at, I believe it's the second page. It says our said cost revenue budgeted, if so describe. And then if not, where shall the appropriation originate? All it says is technology budget. And
Right.
I'd like the wording in that to be changed so that it does reflect the 66,000 budgeted and the remainder not budgeted that we're approving.
Well,
It's all, it'll all come from technology, but
we
Yes,
have to budget $99,137.74 from the Cumberland School Department funds. And then the other balance of $57,272.92 will be given to us from the state, I guess, or whoever funds that from the E-rate stuff that the state charges every user in the state for I guess, internet and telephone, so we'll get that reimbursed. So our cost is the 99 one.
Right. And we had 60,000 budgeted for this and $60,000 for some servers, we want to
Right.
replace. So if we can't find, and I think we'll be able to find it in some of the other line items in the budget a little bit here and there. But if not, we could buy 5 servers instead of the 10 that we had estimated.
And I have no problem with the number, and I have no problem and we'll go ahead to approve that. However, it's the wording on page 2, the school department fiscal note in that document where it doesn't clarify that. It asks, and it says, are said costs / revenue budgeted? And there's not a response to that. So I would just like to see our budgeted, non-budgeted of the 99,000 broken down here to reflect that information.
Okay, I follow you. This is how they've done it in the last 8 years, just telling us if it's budgeted, it tells us what department. But yeah, we
Okay.
can break that down further. That's for sure.
Right, just because of the wording on the questions in that
Mhm.
part of it,
Yeah.
and making sure that we clarify it.
Can we get that clarified for our next meeting, but give Mr. Chandler permission to move forward tonight?
I would approve that, yes.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Collins, you have any questions or anything in regards to this?
You're not.
All right, I did see in the contract they had the contract to be signed by Mr. Chandler. Do we have an issue with that, or is Mr. Prignani, you gonna sign the contract?
I'm sure we can have, Bob's on, but I'm sure Bob can also sign the page. Just write superintendent and it'll be, to cover
Okay, that's
that
fine.
only the superintendent should sign contracts.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the 156, 410, 66 with a reimbursement from the E-rate funding of 57,272.92. And the school department would be responsible for the 99,137.74 after the E-rate reimbursement. And we can update this resolution to show where the money is coming from in the budget, technology, what's covered and what isn't covered. How's that? Okay, everyone?
I will make a motion.
Mr. Smith makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Collins makes the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Mr. Chandler, how long does it take to get this?
Well, if everything gets approved this evening, we're looking to try to start the project and finish it up over April vacation.
Oh, that's good. All right. All right, folks, next we have the CHS Activity Report. It's about, I was surprised how long it was this time. It was 8 pages. At some point in time, can the business office, maybe the superintendent's office, look at this list and see if there's anything here that we should, possibly contact the groups and see if they want to donate it to the school for whatever it may be. I mean, there's a lot of money here put aside and, like we did years past where we got the sign paid for out front.
That's right. I was going to say that we got that electric sign out front paid for by getting people to donate money that was left in that. We do that on occasion, Paul.
Right, so I think we should take another look at it. We have $361,000 in those accounts. So I think we should, like I say, go through it and see if there's any money people want to donate for a project for one of our schools. Okay, next is public comment. Anyone who wants to address the Fiscal Finance Subcommittee meeting, please make yourself aware to Mr. Chandler by raising your hand or pushing a button on your phone, and he'll be able to let you in. Mr. Chandler, do you see anyone raising their hand at all?
This time, nobody has their hands up.
No one has their hand up. Okay. All right, I need a motion to adjourn the Fiscal Finance Subcommittee meeting at 6:01 PM.
I will motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Kerry,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much, 3-0, and I will see you very shortly in the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.